Okay, so y'all have seen me do a lot of mechanical videos. I told you that I am a maintenance man at a distribution center here locally. Well, working in out of my garage door gets used a lot. Well, lo and behold, what happened? If you look right here, you can see my torsion spring broke. So now my garage door won't open. The other side is still good, but this side over here, it's broken. So with that, I got online. Nobody around here locally wanted to sell me the torsion springs. They said it was too dangerous for them to sell them to me because there's a lot of tension on it, and trying to tighten it with the rods and stuff, a lot of people don't understand how it works. So I got online and looked around and compared options. I actually found a seller that sells these springs on eBay, and I purchased it. It was like $119 for the 2 springs and 2 rods. So now I have them here. They was just delivered. I'm going to due to the fact that, you know, I'm not sure how many turns it is, when I start, I'm going to take this side over here, and when I loosen the tension on it, on these two, and take the rods and start spinning it back, there's 4 holes in it right here, right there, and one on the back. When I start loosening it, I'm going to count the revolutions that it was tight, and the same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to go to that point with the new ones, since I got the exact same size torsion springs. So that'll be a start, and then I'll test it, see if it lifts the door. If it doesn't, then I'll go tighter, because what it does is it pulls tension on it so that the cable is pulling up on the door, so the door is practically weightless, so that the motor over there is able to lift it up with minimal effort. So to start things off, I went ahead and I pulled the cable on the other side, and because, well, it fell off, it ended up getting wrapped up when I lifted the door manually. To start things off, I'm going to go ahead and pull the shaft loose and get it to where it'll set out. As you can see, the shaft goes through here, but I'm going to pull both springs out on the other side, but I got to get the tension loose first and then unbolt it from here. So once it's unbolted from here and loose on the other side, I'll just set one side out and remove both springs from one side, and slide new ones on, and then I'll slide it back into place, put the bolts back in, and then tighten the other side back up over there, put the cables back on, and begin tensioning the new springs. So that way, I'm doing this by myself, so that'll probably be the easiest way to do it without having to call for anybody to help. And I know a lot of people on here are probably going to be trying to do it by themselves too. Note, this is very dangerous because you're using 2 rods, sticking one into one hole and then another one into the other hole, and then you're having to give it a quarter of a turn, pull one rod out and stick it in another hole, and then let it down, pull the rod out and stick it into another hole. And a lot of people think, oh, that ain't nothing, you know, it's just a spring, and then they end up, there's so much pressure on it, they end up getting hit in the face. It's really dangerous. I've seen a lot of things that can go wrong because we do it a lot working on dock doors at work. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and get my tools and get started. I believe that's about it for now, and I'm going to try and set up the camera to where I can video it with a hyperlapse. I don't know if I'll be able to or not. I may have to do it step by step. like I've done on the cars. I don't really have a tripod set up in my garage, and I have my zero turn in here and some other stuff, so it's just kind of, I'm limited on space of where I can set anything up. But that's where we're at. I'm gonna go ahead and get the new bars and go ahead and loosen my tension, and once the tension's off, then I'll go ahead and start removing everything, and by then I should be able to get it all completely out and start going back together with the new pieces. Alright, so now I got my camera fixated. These are the rods here, and they're just plain drill rod, plain rods. They stick in here, they stick in here, or up here, it just depends. And this, a 10mm wrench will work, but I believe it's a 3/8. The idea is to slowly release, moving the rods from one side to the other. You got to be careful. I've seen people loosen it and then they take, and rods will just take off flying away from here. So it makes it a very dangerous, delicate situation. So be very careful. Make sure somebody knows that you're doing it before you do it, because if you got hurt, you know, you would need to go to the hospital or something. But yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so now you can see how I did that. And that's how you're gonna reinstall the new springs back in it. This side's completely loose now, so the other side that's broken, I'll just need to take it loose whenever I need to. But now I just need to get the, I guess the shaft that goes across from side to side and get it taken loose so that I can get it put back on, or get it removed so I can get the springs off. So I'm gonna start by pulling those bolts right there out, and then I'm gonna go to the other side and pull the bolts out over there where the shaft is, and unhook the cable, the lift tension cable, and then you know, we'll take the shaft off and remove the springs. So alright, I'm gonna throw this out there for people that don't know. If you look right here, you can count off and find, you see I made a mark right here before, and then count off 20 springs. I counted them off, marked it, and measured it. So once you count off 20 of the windings on the spring, that will give you, once you get the length of it, you'll be able to determine your wire size. So, and then you take and you do a measurement from here to here, total overall length. Hook your tape measure in here and then go to here. I ended up with a 26-inch long spring. So due to my measurement here to here, that's how I knew that I had a 218 spring, and or 218 thousandths winding size. Well, the overall length is 26 inches. That's end caps and all. So that ended up making me order 26-inch long to 0.28 springs. So now I have the accurate size springs, and I can remove these and install the new ones directly on, and there will not be an issue with fitment, and they will be strong enough to lift the garage door, because this is a 2-car garage door. I think it's like 18 feet wide, so you know, now you know. So you will be able to get the correct size on it. Another thing, these bolts that I took out right here, I used a 10 millimeter on them. It's a little bit loose. I think they're 3/8. They go by standard sizes. So that's another thing. A lot of them are 7/16. I've seen some that are 1/2 inch wrenches that fit them. There's a lot of different sizes. It just all depends on how big of a garage door you have and how big your springs are. So now you know how to measure them and make sure that you actually have the correct springs, or you are going to order the correct springs. Okay, so now I picked a side. I got the cable loose, and yeah, I got the winding roller loose, and there was two bolts that was in it, 9/16. I took them loose, and now the whole thing is loose. What I'm gonna do is, see, it freely moves. I'm just gonna pull the whole shaft outward and slide the springs down the shaft and just change them out on this one side and slide them back to the middle and put them together there. So that way I don't have to go back and forth from one side to the other taking both sides loose, because this end actually comes off, but this way the shaft is, you got to take it loose, slide it off of the end of it, and then I'll be able to get this roller off and then slide off the torsion springs. So real quickly, I'm going to throw in, I've already got the old springs off and the new ones slid on. In the pack there was a new little bushing in it, I guess to keep the springs centered, so it just slides up into one of them, and it don't need it on both sides, so there's only one, because the bolts are the exact size of the bolt holes on the spring, so if one's aligned, the other one's going to be aligned too. So when you're going back together with it, just put it, make sure you put it in between the springs. As you can see, I got the new ones sitting on here right now. So I'm gonna get them mounted, everything tightened up, and then I'm gonna show how to tension them properly as soon as I get them bolted in place. Alright guys, so I went back in the same order that I took it apart, and as you can see now I have new springs up here. So, and I tested it, the garage door works. I didn't change the cables. I noticed, I did use it a couple of times already. I noticed that the cable kinked, but that's going to be another project for another video. I just knew that this was a immediate problem. So it is usable right now. I do know that there's other things that I'm going to have to work on as going forward. And the same way I took them off, you'll put them on the exact same way. I ended up counting all my revolutions that I spun it, taking it off. I marked it and counted how many full revolutions the original springs was on there, and then matched it up with the new ones. And just be really careful. New springs, really tight. It's really hard. It gets really tough, you know, when you're sitting there trying to hold it and tighten it up. I mean, it's hard trying to do it by yourself. So I don't assume any responsibility if you try to do this project. It's something you're going to do at your own risk. And that being said, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to assist with it. So one thing to think about is where the shaft rotates this way, you got to rotate all your springs to the back, so they're already pushing and twisting the shaft this way. So you'll figure that out as you take the old ones out, and then you're going to lock it in place using the you're going to hold it in place with one hand using these bars, and then tighten up the end bolts right there, so that way you'll be it'll be tight and locked in place on the shaft, so the shaft's already spinning to pull the door up, so the electric motor doesn't have to work that hard. Like I said, if you got any questions, just comment below, and I hope you enjoy the video.